Good morning, and welcome to the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. Our opening words this morning are from Reverend Teresa Soto. She writes, "This is a charm for hope. The first thing to do is tie a string around your finger. Remember that you are not alone. Think of the ways that our best shared futures are braided inextricably with your own present and your destiny. The second thing is to untie the string and let the knots and tightness fall away. Let the burden of bleakness roll off your sore shoulders. Resistance on these opaque horizons only requires one source of strength, one ray of light. Remember that persistence doesn't require all the answers up front, only one. Fortunately for all of us, we have one response: to remain together through awkward times and happy ones. We remember and we find our resolve in one another. Come, let us worship together."
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our great covenant.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us through the long night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from love deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
A long time ago, there was a man named Noah. And Noah loved to be creative because being creative gave him great joy. Noah loved to dance. And Noah loved to paint. And Noah loved to play the banjo. And he loved to knit and crochet and sew quilts. He loved to make pottery and to read poetry. He just loved being creative. Creativity gave him great joy. And one day he had the most brilliant idea of all. It was like a voice came to him and said, "Noah, I want you to build an ark." And he thought, what a brilliant idea. And he built this gigantic ark. He collected materials from all over, and he built this giant ark in his front yard. And all his neighbors said, "Noah, have you gone nuts? Are you crazy? Why are you building this ark?" And Noah said, "Oh, I love to be creative because it gives me great joy." Next, Noah got another brilliant idea. He said, "Now that I've built this ark, why don't I collect 2 of every animal on the earth and get them in the ark? What a brilliant, that's my masterpiece. It's wonderful." And so he got this great creative idea, and he started acting on it. He ran around the world and got 2 of every animal, and he put them on the ark, and he was looking at it, and it's like, what a wonderful creation. What a wonderful creation. And then one day it started to rain a little bit. And he thought, the thing that would make this work of art even more wonderful if we could participate in it. And so he got all his family, and they all got on board so that they could be part of the art, so to be part of the creation. And they got on board the ark, and all of a sudden it started raining a little harder. So help me make a rainstorm. It started raining a little bit, and it got harder and harder, and then it started getting even harder, so it hit your feet. And then it started raining even harder. And all of a sudden the flood waters came, and they lifted the boat up, and it rose higher and higher and higher as the world was covered in water. And at this moment, one of Noah's kids came up to him and said, "Dad, did you see this coming? Is this exactly how you thought it would play out?" And Noah said, "Well, it's not exactly what I thought would happen. I had no idea what would happen, but I have this theory. I love being creative. When I am creative, I feel closest to my Creator. When I'm creative, I find great joy. And I have this theory about life, that if we're creative, then we're doing what's most important. Rain may fall down and floodwaters rise, but our creativity will keep us afloat."
The readings today come from Janie Barker's book, Teaching with Fire, Poetry that Sustains the Courage to Teach. On a gray afternoon, as daylight and my vision for teaching and learning with children were fading, a wise friend slid David Whyte's The House of Belonging across the coffee table. The book fell open to this poem, and I instantly recognized in the words a reminder that the gifts we bring to each other in education. Working together reminds me that sometimes my plans and expectations are less important than supporting a child deeply engaged in discovery. It's something unexplainable and quite miraculous. As 6-year-old David told his mother after his first week in our classroom, that's an easy place to be good. It is a pure gift to realize that children are finding the true shape of their own self within inviting, learning community. Believing in this synergy, I come to children with a deeper trust in their unique learning patterns, as well as my own growth. I can step back and breathe in the wonder of confusion, mine or a child's own crossing bridges between home and school, self and other, the familiar and the unknown. It is as easy to feel lost when facing change as it is to know the joy of anticipation. Every passage requires letting go of what has become precious and opening to treasures that are waiting to be gathered. During these moments, there is no separation between us, only recognition for the gifts we share in our journey to be true to ourselves and open to life. The poem that steered her soul, Working Together. We shape ourselves to fit this world, and by the world are shaped again. The visible and the invisible working together in common cause to produce the miraculous. I am thinking of the way the intangible air passed at speed round a shaped wing easily holds our weight. So may we, in this life, trust to those elements we have yet to see or imagine, and look for the true shape of our own self by forming it well to the great intangibles about us. David White.
I've been learning to make clay sculptures and soap.
All this time at home, I have had a lot of time to read. So I have just been looking through all my books, and I just have been reading a lot. One book that I really enjoy is this, and I will give you some facts about animals.
I keep trying.
Yeah, you keep trying.
I did it.
Okay. So, did you know that the roundworm lives for only 12 days?
I've learned that if you give plants a whole bunch of water, they grow super, super big.
Are you learning to color?
Yeah.
An ant can lift 50 times its own weight with its mouth.
Pie train.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I learned how to do robotics.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Front, front, back.
The common snail has close to 10,000 teeth, all on its tongue.
Hey, what I have learned during quarantine is how to cook meals using foods that I already have in my pantry instead of running to the grocery store for different things. Charlie, you have anything to add?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Pie train.
He's potty trained. Yay!
I'm pie train and pie train.
Scientists have determined that the common housefly hums in the musical key of F.
Hey, can you tell me what you and Kaya are learning today?
About climbing. Hey, this is how you go down. See, I hold it onto the hole. Here.
Most mammals live for about 1.5 billion heartbeats.
I'm learning how to count it.
A mosquito has 47 teeth. That's all of them. Bye!
Good morning. I bring you sadness this morning to share. Jane Raparelli's mom passed this on May 7th in Knoxville. Jane and her husband, Mike McDonough, expressed their gratitude for the outpouring of support. I'd also like to raise up the people who are now going back to work and may have fears and concerns, and for the people who are traveling and have had to continue dealing with the virus. I ask that we keep them in our prayers, our meditation, and our thought, and to give them courage and hope and the belief that we are with them in all aspects that we can be. This is my prayer.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Looney. I am a sophomore in high school, and I am in the youth program here at TVUC, and I wrote this poem over quarantine, corona time, and I just wanted to share it with all of you, so it would fit the theme of the service. So good morning. So here it is. The outside calls and I must go, but these black walls contain me so. Again and again I try to stay in my house where I am to lay, but then the world begins to call. making me begin to fall into this beautiful, breathtaking scene where nature and humans makes harmony sing. But then I am reminded I cannot go, because these walls contain me so. And I am left here with my mind to recite poetry to pass the time.
I guess one of the things that I've learned during this time, pandemic, is that although it's a really good time to, learn how to bake bread or grow a garden and learn a bunch of new things, it's also really important to take care of yourself, because that can be hard when you're not going out and doing anything. It would just be hard to remember that you also need to sleep, not stay up super late, and eat food when you're supposed to, instead of just waiting to 6 a.m. and stuff. So, yeah, take care of yourself, drink water, that's important.
And I've learned that just a little bit of sunshine and fresh air can make a big difference when we're feeling cooped up.
Hello, I'm Chloe Roldy Waters, and I think many of you have seen me at TVUUC, but not in a while. Now you've only seen me in Zoom meetings. Although we have some really good ones, Coffee Hour and the RE Reflection Room, I do miss the physical interactions and, of course, the potlucks. What am I learning at home? Well, I'm learning patience, since I can't really hug anybody. I miss that. But I am learning to do different things, like straighten and do some artwork and read and play lots of games online. So I really miss being able to hug everybody, though. So until we can see each other again, one big, big, big hug. Okay. Until then, namaste.
Hi, my name's No Sneed, and something I learned during this pandemic is that you have to have joy, because without joy, what are you going to do? So today, I am making a balloon animal because that's what gives me joy. So I already have my balloon blown up, so I'm going to make the first twist, and then I'm going to make a second twist, like this. See, so we got two twists, and then I turn this one and tie this part into here, which will make two more, and then I will make a long body, and then do the same thing from here over here. So twist, turn, twist, and then now we make the head. I squeezed it a bit because it softens it more. Then make another twist, turn, twist, and voila! You have your balloon dog. Thank you very much.
What have I learned over the last 3 months? Well, a lot. Way too much really to put in a, 1 to 3 minute long snippet here. I thought I'd try to do a top 10 list, like from the late night televisions of old. Number 10, it's important to keep calm amidst all of the chaos. I have watched Frozen 2 more times than I can count in the last 3 months. And one of my favorite quotes is when Olaf says, "We're calling this controlling what you can when things feel out of control." And in that particular scene, he's being crawled on by all these kids, and they're like poking at his face and rearranging him, and I relate to that a little bit. Number 9, try as hard as you might, a conference call is still a conference call. And no matter who the audience is, whether that's for work, whenever you're with all of your colleagues, or whenever it's a whole bunch of toddlers on a Zoom meeting, the same rules apply. Mute all of your lines. Number 8, I might be addicted to Animal Crossing. Number 7, facilitating an RE space like the Reflection Room virtually is got a different set of challenges of making sure that everybody's engaged and making sure that everyone's participating and making sure that no one is monopolizing the conversation. Oh wait, no, it's just like doing it in real life. Never mind. Number 6, actually, I'm an extrovert. I always considered myself an introvert, but I guess not, because one of the things that I miss the most is just connecting with people, and I didn't know that about myself. Number 5, it's okay to not do all of the things. In fact, sometimes it's even better. The first 2 weeks that I was stuck at home, I filled every single minute of my schedule with stuff to do and realized that that was not a great choice for me. And now I spend a lot of time doing nothing. In fact, number 4, it's okay to spend an entire day doing absolutely nothing. In fact, it's okay to spend many days doing absolutely nothing. That is a big learning for me. Number 3, I actually really enjoy spending time with my kids. I think I was always a little worried about that because I work a lot and I have a lot of activities that I'm doing all of the time that take me away from them. But this has been a very amazing blessing to have this time with them. And I mean, there was always an adjustment period, and you have some good days and bad, but my kids are really cool, and I really like spending time with them. And I always thought that I wouldn't make a good stay-at-home parent, just because I have no domestic ability whatsoever, and my patience is limited at best, but I can do it if I have to, and that's a big learning for me, which I'm really excited about. Number 2, kids are resilient. They are so resilient. I was absolutely convinced that there would be no way that my children would be able to adapt to staying at home, to not being able to go places, to not seeing people, but they have. They understand, and they have done amazingly well. Not to say that there isn't trauma happening, and not to say that they don't have a lot of emotional fallout from this particular time, but still, they're amazing. They're resilient. They're gonna be okay. And number 1, the most important thing is that community will help you through it. You know, throughout this time, I've removed a lot of the unnecessary stuff from my life. And even in this new world, though, I've kept up with my commitment and my action and connection with the church. Whether it's RE check-in or parenting circle, or even just watching the service on Sunday mornings, that is something that helps me get through all of this. So I'm excited to see what everyone else has learned from this time as well, and I thank you for letting me share.
Good morning. My name is Claudia Presley, and I'm the Director of Administration here at TVUUC. Thank you for joining us today. Our offering today will be a Generosity Sunday offering. What that means is that anything that is not designated as a pledge will go to our general operating fund. So if you would like to give today, you can go to tvuuc.org/give, or you can text give to the number 73256, type in TVUUC and the amount that you would like to give. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.
Hey there, happy Sunday. This is Taylor Thomas, and for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I've been in charge of the church's pledge drive this year. I will say that it was an interesting year to be in charge of the pledge drive. Obviously, with the circumstances, we were a little concerned about our fundraising, but I am happy to report that as of today, we have over $470,000 pledged. I'm going to say that again. We have over $470,000 pledged for this next fiscal year. That is phenomenal. I work in fundraising at the university, and I can tell you that we have seen a dip in our contributions. The fact that this church continues to have such strong pledges shows truly the impact that it makes on this community. I am in awe. I am honored to have been a part of this pledge drive, and I thank everyone who has given this year or made a pledge or donated a government stimulus check or plans to make a pledge. Thank you so much. This is incredible, and you should be extremely proud of the community of TVUUC. It is incredible the amount of good that we do in this area, and I just thank you all so much. And I hope soon that we can be back together in the physical space, but in the meantime, just know that we are obviously all extremely connected to this place, whether we're in the building or not. So thank you again so much, and I'll see you soon.
My experience during this time has reminded me again that life is unpredictable and situations happen that aren't a part of the plan. Who knew that I would be president of the congregation during a pandemic? Who knew? At times I felt very overwhelmed. However, I reminded myself that I didn't have to have all the answers because I had a supportive and loving community working with me, the staff, the board, and the congregation. And for that, I am grateful.
Hey, it's Rachel and Henry Gaines. One thing I've learned throughout all this working in long-term care is how much we need to protect the vulnerable members of our community, and that we really just need to be patient with each other and take care of each other. And how much I miss my RE kids. It's been crazy not seeing everybody on Sundays. And I miss you guys. Henry, what have you learned?
I learned that we have to be more respectful and caring with others around us.
All right, so there you go. Take care of each other. Love you guys.
So what have I learned from COVID-19? Well, a few months back, I heard the voice of the Lord say, "Chris, I want you to build an online ark." Actually, that's not how it went, but it was seen that way in a lot of different ways. We made a decision to close the church building on a Thursday, and we had to figure out how to create an online worship service by Sunday. That's not a lot of time, but with a lot of creativity and a lot of teamwork, we were able to pull that off, and that's what we've been doing ever since, using our creativity to build online community together. And since that day, we've added a lot of different rooms to the ark. We've added online worship service, a virtual coffee hour. We have adult educations on classes on YouTube. We have readings from the Diversity Library and RE Reflection Room. We have Tea with Jametta. We have many different rooms. We have a caregiver support group. Lots of different rooms in this arc. And it seems like since we've been meeting on Zoom that I have seen at least 2 of every animal, or it feels that way. I've seen your cats and your dogs. I've seen your fish. I've seen your chickens. I've even seen a hedgehog. And if you've come to the virtual coffee hour, you may have seen some creatures that you didn't expect to see suddenly appear on the screen during the virtual coffee hour. As it's an intergenerational coffee hour, it's nice to have different characters show up every once in a while. So we have been working hard, and I think right now that's what it feels like our homes are our ark, and our church, this online experience of church, is our ark. So let's keep working together. Let's keep learning. Let's learn how to be in community together, because if we do, our creativity will be what helps keep us afloat.
The words from T.H. White from The Once and Future King. "The best thing for being sad," replied Merlin, beginning to puff and blow, "is to learn something. That's the only thing that never fails. You may grow old and trembling in your anatomies. You may lie awake at night listening to the disorder of your veins. You may miss your only love. You may see the world about you devastated by evil lunatics, or know your honor trampled in the sewers of baser minds. There's only one thing for it then, to learn. Learn why the world wags and what wags it. That is the only thing which the mind can never exhaust, never alienate, never be tortured by, never fear or distrust, and never dream of regretting. Learning is the only thing for you. Look what a lot of things there are to learn." Now, we may or may not agree with all of that sentiment, but I do suspect that there are many things that we have been learning in the last couple of months. And I'd like to suggest that there are many, many things that you could be learning right now, it is true, but the only things that you should be learning are things that help you make it through this time. And while the experience of this pandemic is universal in some ways, in many ways it is very, very different for each of us, isn't it? Depending on our circumstances. I've seen this sentiment expressed in a meme as, "We are not all in the same boat, but we are in the same storm." And this storm has affected every single one of us. Isn't it astounding to be living in such a time? But how it affects us is really different, and how we make it through might be really different as well. Now, for some of us, diving into learning something new, some new skill or hobby or new information that we find really interesting, or hypothetically learning a completely new way to do your work, some of us, that is life-giving and buoys us up, and that is what we should be doing. But some of us do not have the luxury of that kind of time, or are so overloaded with the struggle of this time that the thought of using this time that we ought to do it, but to do something productive, just adds to the burden. And that's okay. I will share with you that I managed to go to the library shortly before it closed and brought home a lot of books for my family, for all 3 of us. And my kid blazed through all of his. And I have yet to finish a single one of the shelf full of books that I brought home. I long to read. I've always been a reader, but the rhythm of my days in this time so far has not made that work. The rhythm of my home and in my family and my work means that I do not experience the long stretches of open time that some of us are experiencing. And even when I do decide to make space for some reading, I'm finding that my mind cannot let go of the world for long enough to dive into it the way I've always been able to. This is new for me. And I've always been able to sink into a book and find comfort in it, and I really struggled with that. And so what is one of the things I'm learning now? One of the things is that the old ways of being don't always carry us through in times of struggle. I'm learning in fits and starts and with forward and then backward steps to be gentle with myself, to assume that the time for reading or other things that are building blocks of my identity that I can't quite hold in my hands right now in this time, that the time for those things will come again, that this time is not an indicator that I have lost them or that I've lost something of who I am. Friends, this is not forever. This is just for right now. I remind myself, this is just how we make it through. That is a big learning for me in this time. Now, I did sort of learn how to use my sewing machine, so many of you shared with us ways that you have been learning new things or learning to do things, learning about things. And one of the things that I have learned, sort of, is to use my sewing machine, which has been living in my closet for a lot of years, and I've always sort of had the aspiration to learn what to do with it, but never had until this pandemic era hit and shifted priorities in some ways, right? We began to realize that we needed to have some masks, and so it rose higher on the priority list. And I pulled the sewing machine out of the closet, and I used the handy internet at my disposal to learn how to thread the machine. I didn't even know that much. And then I was on my way. And the masks I've made are not particularly skillfully done, but they work. But I will notice, too, that because more than one thing is true at a time, I suspect that for many of us, not just for me, this is not just a time of adapting and learning new things or doing new things, but this is also a time of crystallizing who we are and how we want to be in the world. There is a clarity that comes sometimes in times of crisis. Some of you may have noticed this at other times in your life. In times when all of a sudden nothing is the same. In times when even things that are always the way they were are tinged with what has come. In times when it feels like the world has shattered around us and we are left to put the pieces back together in some kind of order. I suspect that these times intensify whatever was already there. The empathy that we carry, is it stronger now? Does it come to us more? The weariness that you have felt before, is it bigger now? Your kid who's still learning how to deal with disappointment without getting big upset, for example, that might be a little bigger now too for a while. But also, I think it helps us clarify what's really most important to each of us. And that's true for us in community as well as individually. And so here's some more of what I've been learning, much of which was always true, but with COVID comes clarity. We are not our building. We are so much more. And our building matters. It is a sacred space for so many of us. And one of these days, when it is safe to do so, it will be so good to be together in that space again. I'm also learning that real connection happens via video conferencing like Zoom, which is a really good way to connect for some of us, some of the time. And it has its limitations, doesn't it? I'm learning, as we are learning, that meaningful worship can happen online, and that it can be a lifeline of community and connection and reassurance for many of us in this time. And it takes a lot of work and learning new skills rapidly in order to produce. I'm learning too that time is variable. In some ways this time seems to have gone really quickly. In other ways, maybe more ways, it seems like so long that the before time feels very distant in some ways. Now I suspect that there will be more for all of us to learn as we continue to shelter in this storm. And today we celebrate and reflect on what we have been learning, but let us also celebrate that we have such capacity to pivot and bend and stretch and carry on when things change suddenly. This is a time when we are invited to pay attention to what is really most important to us. And what that looks like is different to each of us. What, my friends, are you learning right now about how to sustain yourself, about how to shelter your heart as well as sheltering your body. What is your deepest voice whispering to you about what your body and your spirit need? Some of us have the luxury of listening to that voice and focusing on our own needs in this time, and some of us do not have that kind of luxury. But here's some advice from UU minister, Reverend Jordan Nelson Long, that spoke to me really deeply this week. She says, "You must think of something tangible and in the next few hours that you can look forward to. It can be anything, but it has to be real enough that you feel a bit of lightening of load and leaning toward of spirit just in thinking of it. Making a ritual of preparing a lovely cup of tea, choosing and cutting a flower to bring inside, using the bubble bath that you've been saving, taking a walk in your neighborhood, grabbing a novel off the shelf and losing yourself in it, making a TikTok video, eating lunch. I'm reaching here. I don't know what does it for you. The point is, find something, make it doable, and hold that thing in your mind. Anticipate it, want it, be so glad that it can happen. Then do it. Do not cheat yourself. And then find the next thing. Do it all again. You just keep doing it. This, for real, is how you get through." I'm so grateful for the learning that comes from the words of others that come to me and come across my feed, and when I'm on Facebook, when I'm online, and connecting via Zoom with people, the words I hear from them. So much of my own learning comes from the thoughts and words of others in this time. Friends, we are all learning right now. Learning things we didn't expect to have to learn and some things we didn't want to have to learn. But it is my hope that one of the things we are learning is how to turn toward one another in the ways that are available to us. And also how to pay attention to that clarity that comes in moments of great change that helps us remember what we hold most dear and what we most need in order to carry on and continue to grow into our truest selves.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
We're doing a lot of things differently now, and I know that there is a lot of loss associated with that, especially for rites of passage that are not marked in the ways that we thought they would be. In the sense that we are missing out on rituals and experiences that are meaningful for us at this time of year, that may be intensifying as we reach the end of our program year, of the school year, as summer approaches. But there are also ways in which this different way of doing things offers opportunities to try out new things in new ways. And so this is not our typical RE Sunday service. We've broken it open into a recognition of the many ways in which all of us are learning and living into new ways of being in this time. But we're also going to take a moment to look back a little bit with gratitude to those who have all along made our community what it is. Our volunteers and our staff spent 7 months with our kids and youth and adults in this program year before the big change happened, from August through March, offering spaces for living into our UU values and exploring who we are and what it means to be in community together. And if we are connected as a community now, some of the reason that that is possible is because of the gifts offered to us in the before times of this program year by these beloved volunteers and staff members. Some of whom were leaders in our RE spaces, caregivers in our nursery, advisors in our youth groups, facilitators of classes and programs for all ages, assistants and greeters and hallway helpers and whatever you need, weekday hands-on volunteers, and big picture thinkers and planners, and so much more. We have not forgotten what you have given to us this year. You helped lay the foundation upon which our young peoples and all of our ongoing sense of connection with our church and with our UU values is built. Now, one of our RE families has offered to help us with this year's small gift of appreciation, which we can't give you in person today as we are not gathered in person, but we are conspiring to get sent your way soon. Karen White and her daughters, Alyssa and Alana, are members of our church, and Karen is one of our RE leaders, in fact. And Alyssa and Alana are part of our youth program, our youth contingent. They are putting their love for our community into hand painting a message for each of our volunteers and RE staff on river rocks, which they're collecting. One side has a flaming chalice, and the other side has a message that says, TVUC is our rock. Friends, if TVUC is our rock, it is so because our members and friends have created a community that is strong and loving and kind and connected, and that is what continues to carry us through this time. So as Karen and Alyssa and Alana continue working on making more than 50 rocks to express our gratitude, I have an invitation for all of us attending today. We would like to send a card of thanks along with each of the rocks going to our volunteers and our staff, and I could use your help. It will mean so much more to have cards coming from our community than just from me on your behalf. And so if you would like to help thank our RE volunteers and staff this year, and this can be anyone, whether you have directly benefited from our programs or are cheering on as a member of the wider TVUC community, if you would like to help us in our thanks, would you make a thank you card? You can make and decorate a card and write a little message of gratitude, one or a few, and mail them to the church for us to include in our thanks as we give our gifts to our volunteers and our leaders. We do have a small crew of staff coming in from time to collect the mail, and so the cards that come in will make their way to me, and I can help share our appreciation with all of our beloved volunteers. Friends, there's so much wisdom that has been offered by so many of you about what you are learning in this time. What is it, I wonder, those of us who are here this morning, if you are watching and share in the comments, what is it that you are learning that is life-giving for you in this time? If the only thing you are learning is how to make it through each day as it comes for a while, as we wait for things not to be so hard anymore, that is good learning. Whatever it is that gives you or sustains your life, that is the learning to hold on to in this time. As a community of faith and a community that has always been bigger than our building, perhaps what we are learning anew in this time is that change is hard and often comes without our having chosen it, but that we together are capable of building something meaningful and beautiful in times of struggle and in times when we appear not to be together at all if you are looking just with your eyes. Now we are learning and relearning that truly we are all part of the interconnected web of all existence. We belong to one another. And that belonging is wider than the walls that surround us and stronger than the walls that separate us. Thank you for all the ways in which we are learning to still connect, the ways in which we are learning that we are strong and that we can build meaning together. Thank you.
In this time of being physically separated but staying connected, may we reach out and greet our neighbors in all the ways available to us, knowing that our community is more than our building, has always been more than our building, and that we will be connected again in person when it is safe. And until then, may we stay spiritually and socially connected and hold on to all of those connections that give us life, and all of the growth that comes in times of struggle and in times of new learning. May you go in peace.